26. Today's a bank holiday. Market's slow. First hour was incredibly slow. The floor held at 80.25, and then a seller, and there was 22 sold on the inside prints. That's why I went short. And then we broke down. I should have gotten out right there, which is what I did. Would it move up in the future? Maybe, but who cares? So we come down to VPOC, and it explodes to the low side. Right here is people getting ran out. 80 evens. There's 8 on the inside prints, buy side, and 15 on the sell side. First thing we see is one trade on the sell side, meaning there's an absence of pressure from sellers. And then we see 13 and 15 spammed at 80 even and 80.25, which tells me it's a seller getting out at the low by VPOC because the node is 79.75, and then we rally off of that. I was on the wrong side of this trade. Realistically, because I'm already in the trade, I should have scratched for 80.50, but I let it hit me for 2 ticks instead. So first of all, the move is very fast from 79.75 all the way up to 80.50, and it's one-sided. So it could either be buy pressure or sellers getting out. I think it was 80 evens, sellers getting out here, and then buy pressure stepped in at the low of the day. It's a great trade that I was on the wrong side of, and the best indicator for entry was the fact that it was so fast and there was only one on the inside print. But there's really notice how there's nothing here, nothing trades here. That's rare. It's because there's no participants in the pre-market, so liquidity providers stuff the queue like they do normally. Notice how it's all 30s, it's typically 30s, but the tape is much slower because it's a bank holiday in Europe. So the rational conclusion is that I'm competing against people in Europe, one, and two, that liquidity doesn't move the market, but active participants move the market, and liquidity responds correspondingly. I'm trying to chase a short here from the value area high. I see 16 sold, 24, and then a downtick, which is good. But then 32 and 51 shows up, and we just sit there and run the high. That doesn't mean the trade is invalidated. It just hit me for 2 ticks. I try the same short again, and we see a move down before they defend the floor at 81 and move it up higher on buyers. It looks like, yeah. First of all, it looks like absorption and then somebody getting out of their trades, which is why market orders hit, because it's at the edge of the value area, so it could be shorts exiting again. And then I take that for 2 ticks. So the first initial scratch was simply risk management, and the second entry was the real trade in the same area. If I were to manage that better, I would stick my entry up a tick at 81.25, and rather than punting. I get long here. So now I have to pull out the notepad. 558 in reason for entry. I wanted to get long here because with the edge of value, and I was talking yesterday about how you're supposed to enter from out of value and go into it rather than on the line, but the participation in the market today is so little that you can bid that area and be fine. But there wasn't any response from buyers. Now there is. They moved it up from 25 to 75 easily on low volume, and then yeah, easily on low volume, and then they run it without me. So right there, When we see this crossover, that's a perfect limit to put in 79.50, even though it doesn't get hit and they run it without me. It's better than chasing, I think. I could have bid the market there, but I just don't have enough experience. So we basically ran this mini low of day at 79.50, came down, and it wasn't that there was no liquidity here. It was that buyers proceeded to move it up off of that, and now we're back in the value area. I flip long here at VPOC because they hold 80s, and my stop is a tick lower for good reason. Really, the market doesn't do much here. And then I flip short because I'm reading back ticking. So I'm going to write this down as 611 to Sari paper cuts at value. Because I flip and I'm just reading these ticks here. And then finally we get a move in my favor. And the floor was 79.75, so if it breaks down to 79.50, which is what it did there, it's time to get out, which is what I did. So that was a great trade, except for round tripping the two ticks. I want to see what the fill looks like. We get up 80.50, 13s, 16s, tape dries up, right? It's still 22 on the Q buy side and 9 on the sell side. And then they immediately plunge. And that would be the area to get out for a tick, I suppose, because the buy demand is gone. And it's just little inside prints and the Q stacked. This is the same trade at VPOC. VPOC, which is fair value. I'm going to put that in the notes. Stay away from VPOC. And then I put a limit there and it doesn't get hit. It's a good place to put a limit. We're just sitting there. Value is consolidating lower between under 80 evens, right? Which is a good reason for a short, which is what I do here. The floor sits. It looks like a scratch here. I drag it down a tick. Frankly, I disagree with that. The bid should have been, the ask should have been 79.75, and the stop loss should have been 80.25. Right? Notice how there's sell pressure down at 79.70, 79.25s. There's pressure at 25s in the LVN 421. It looks like it's going to break here. That's exactly what it does. I flip short here. Buyers step in there and then rally it higher, but then it sticks in the LVN 79.25. It's still sticking there, which tells me that value is shifting lower, consensus between buyers and sellers. Right there would be a great place to get out if you were up from there. But then value holds again. Instead of rallying, first of all, there's an absence of buyers here. There's 114 traded, heavy sell side pressure, and there's no uptick from 78.75. It goes 79.50, 78.75, back to 50, back to 75. Just like up here, it went like this, and they sat on the offer, right, and then it moved lower. And I stepped away. Second session was a bit harder. I was washed kind of after the first hour. There's 2 hours of footage here, an hour 47, but I'm quite literally sleeping for 30 minutes of it. Tape is faster here. This is a good trade that I think I get stopped out of. Anyways, I flip long here. Then I see a move up and I'm looking for the chase, which happens. But notice how they can't break 76, 76.50 buy side. On this trade, you want to see price move up fast, which is what it did, which is why I punted a tick above where the price originally was, which is kind of a strange entry. It's just an indication of me being a novice. And then it stopped at, I think, here or here, whichever, who cares, right? And then we started down ticking, meaning the initial response from buyers where they pulled the queue. It's much easier for them to move up. Has dried up now. So once I see that, it should be a three tick trade, is what you want it to be. But typically the best you're gonna get is probably a two tick trade or a one tick scratch, which is what I did. And we're in the LVN now. Okay, we're sitting on 76.25 for a while now. 17 trades, I think it's going. And I take a huge four tick loss here. Three tick loss. 650. 650 poor trade entry with bad SL cost the whole day. So this is just a poor trade. $76.75. Yeah, good scratch. Good scratch because I'm on the wrong side. Notice how value is bouncing between 76 and 77.25. It tells me it's going to break out. So a long would be right there. And then a good short from there. I would say it's sticking, but it's not. If it was sticking at 78, then it would move up. But it's sticking at 77, which tells me we're moving down. And then the moment I said that, I have to watch the trade again now. Seven trades, then one, and off 77.25, buyers really show up. They throw a 10, and it's easier for them to move it up. And then I flip long off of that because we're in the LVN and there is more value here. We've pressed this level several times, but you'd need 78.25 to break in order to move up. So the ideal trade would be to get out here or here if there's no momentum. Notice how there's no momentum there. And to see if you can get two ticks, which you can, right? And now we're trading the flip because we made it above 78.25. There's no trade there. I want to see the momentum run out. We're back at 78s. It looks like it's going to break this time. I pull. Sellers can't get it lower. On pressure, pressure dries up. It's going to explode in a minute. Yeah! And then I flip short. Probably on the 14 absorbed buy side, and now I'm watching the Q. Back to 78 evens, which is where the initial starting point was of the move. And I scratch for 2 ticks. They defend 78s again, and 79s, which is the value area. Here I'm fatigued. I already know. I have to watch the short. Same short. Now we got above 79, which is where the initial range was between 78 and 79. So flipping short here is just kind of asking for it. You know, had I had the foreknowledge to know that the range was 78 and 79, if I paid more attention, I would have. But the market moves slow, and it's boring. It's a lot to look at. This is I can almost instantly tell this is a poor trade because it's at VPOC. 730 poor trade at VPOC. The only good thing about this is that I scratched for a tick. And then a good reversion play here, 14 to 10, right? So there's buy side strength. The sell side Q looks weak. Back up to VPOC would be a good place to take profits because we can't get above it. It's a good scalp. And then the buyers dry up there. Okay, 80-50. Notice how 34 sells at the edge of value, and they can't push it lower, and then 16, and they still can't push it lower. Right, that tells me to be long with a stop at 80.25 because it jumps to 81.25 on. I'm going to make a note of that. 739 big ABS at indication breakout. Exit at 81.50. Breakout. And then final exit at 81.50. If they establish a new floor, it would be time to get out. See how it's sitting 81.25, so the floor is there. They make it up to 81.50, then they send it down off of 81.25 to 81 evens, so sellers are in control now. And then 44 is absorbed buy side, and they really can't do much. The value is still holding there. Which tells me it's more of a breakout, and then they sell off 81.50 again. I'd get short here with a stop at 81.75. Notice how they're defending the floor again at 80.75, so it'd be time to get out. I think I'm sleeping for all of this. And then they go up to 81.75 again before they. I have to see the sell off now because I thought it was going to break out because of how much value is up there. 27, 43, 11, 28, 11, 17. So I want to see if the Q empties. It's 5. 5 disappears. 20. 13. So the queue's just emptying here. Sellers are sticking on it. One thing that also confused me this morning is they'll leave market makers will leave an empty part in the queue, which didn't used to be a thing, because there are no participants, so they don't see any need to provide liquidity there. So it would just empty like that, and nothing would restuff. But they pull all the way back down to VPOC. 81.75 was in fact the stopping point. This entire thing I'm not really present for up until here where I take a trade. I pull the limit. I think it's going to break out again. Then I get out because it's just sticking there. Like realistically, it would have to be along at 80.75. I flip short there, 81.25. And then it breaks down. 80.50, and they rally off of 80.50, so that was the floor. They're holding it again. You could go long here and take the two ticks at 81. Then 80.50 breaks through, so we're looking for shorts now. But I would say we're too close to VPOC, but this is such a good trade opportunity. Notice how the LVM thickens up right there, which tells me that there was a fight there, and then we came down to 80.50 below the floor, which tells me sellers won. And then VPOC is two ticks away, which is acceptable for a scalp. If it was one tick or like right on top of it, it'd be no. And you'd get out here unless there was sell pressure. I would say get out there, but we're watching order flow, right? So value looks like it's sticking. I put a long there because it's in the LVN. I want to see sellers run it. I want to see buyers run it up. So we come down 16, 10, 16 sell side, 10, 18 buy side, 79.25s, 79 evens. We're sitting there now after selling off 20 trades at 79.50, and we come back up to it. And now there's a 16 and a 5 sell side, 18 buy side, which is bullish. They fill me on slippage. That looks like buyers getting out. That or the Q pulls. Big sell pressure, and we're still moving up, which is a good sign. More sell pressure, and the floor is at 80 despite there being sell pressure. And we move up the entire value area, which is great. And then here, I just want to see the stops get ran here. So 30, 37, 33, 39, 40, 15, 6. And then boom, it was shorts, probably. I want to see who leads on the tape. It's buyers leading on the tape. There's both sides there, so buyers getting out. But it looks like it was shorts leading because buyers hit the tape first, so they were exiting as market orders. And notice how it jumped 2 ticks at the same time. It jumped 2 ticks twice. That's 2 clusters of orders getting liquidated. And the floor holds here. I think I have a good trade there, but then it breaks through. 81.25. I moved my stop loss. On this trade, I would recommend moving your stop loss. The other trades, one was really lousy, I lost 3 ticks on it. This I would happily lose 3 ticks on because we were holding value. I say value, but most of the volume up there was people getting liquidated. But we were holding a rough novice term of value above there for a breakout, and then 8150 just held for so long. It's frankly okay. I want to see if there's anything in the tape that would tip me off. So 68, we have a bid build at 8150, 19, 24, 54, 58, and they can't take it any higher. 63, and now I'm watching the Q, and the sell side Q goes from 22 to 28 by sell side. The ask Q, meaning they're stacking up, and then they start hitting as buyers start drying up from 7 to 22, and we sit at 63, and then 30 trades. They stack 2 contracts, 8150 on the offer from 27 to 29, and then the Q buy side goes from 11, which empties, and 40 buy side to 34. Also, look at the back side, which doesn't get hit, 8075, bid Q 46. It goes to 33, which means the market maker is adjusting liquidity for sell side pressure. And then the price moves lower. And then we hold, and the floor that we were defending, which is 8150, we're now watching. So 56 sells there, 15, and I think that's a breakout because we ran over it. We did again, and no way! I pressed the restart button. That's horrible. Oh my gosh. Okay. Is this the same one? Right, 8150. We're looking for a breakdown. Do all these people get liquidated up here? That's so awful, man. Okay. I think I found it. I don't know where this long came from. It might be the same long. Yeah, okay. So there's a 63. Sellers step in. The Q shifts, right? Why does 107 trade there? Okay, 107 was already there. And then we dry up and we come back to 81. There's 7 on the offer inside prints. I'm just watching the Q now. 8 and 5 trade inside prints, bid side, and we move down. Then 2, which tells me sellers are in control and it's easy for them to move it. Then 14 trades, 6 trades, 23 trades, and they get absorbed. And so I think 8150 is the floor here. I think it is, but the fact that those sellers got absorbed at 81 even and 8125, they got absorbed big time. And there's a trade. I know, don't trade at VPOC. But this is different because the floor is right there and the breakout is right there, right? If VPOC was like right there and it was just filth right there, and there wasn't a ledge like right there, then I would say yeah. And then I get out there. So this final trade's a more complicated trade because they ran over the floor, and it's coming from buy pressure after absorption at the 2 ticks at VPOC and 8125. Okay, liquidity dries up there at 8225, buy side on the bid, which is my sign to get out. Then 13, I think I drag it lower. but the queue on the bid is still there. It fills me right here. That's when my order disappears. The queue on the bid is still there, which tells me we could move up here, and then it refreshes. Okay, that's it. I have to review in the mornings after I trade. Because it works the brain better. We're trying to cut the learning curve here, right? And so I learned less. Down 4 ticks for trading 3 hours is pretty good, especially 2 months in. I learn less if I review at the end of day. If I can review right after the session, I learn more.